ask local municipalities to be paying for things that they have absolutely no way to raise the money for. Sales tax is an example. It doesn't stay local. Most municipalities, they generate their income from property tax, and that's pretty much the only way that they can generate it. And if we continue, there's a ceiling on how much we can continue to raise that before you're going to have population shrinkage and so on and so forth. So
and not everybody's supporting the local community. Only the property owners are.
Yeah.
So you have that even more of a limitation on how you can do it, and also upon the people that are supporting the community. Because if you don't own property, you're not paying anything.
Yeah. So I mean, the underlying question here, right, is what's the role of the state government?
Mm-hmm.
And the other question is what's the role of government versus localization? And I think the role of the state government is to handle things that are too big for any one city or municipality to handle on their own. Education, healthcare in large part, infrastructure, our roads, those kinds of things. So that's where I think state government's real role is figuring out how to raise enough revenue at the state level to be able to ensure that our population is safe, it's educated, it has access to healthcare, and that we have infrastructure. Those are the main pillars of the state government. And so if a municipality can't handle those things on their own, then they look to the state to do it. And it should always be a partnership, but it should be a reasonable partnership that can be met by both sides.
Okay. So being clear about what the local government should be paying for and figuring out what's too big for them, and then the state takes over and handles that aspect of it.
I think that's a fair way to say it. And we also just need to understand that this is all community. We are the great Commonwealth of Kentucky. People ask me, or people will say to me regularly, like, "Oh, I live in Kenton County, I can't vote for you." I'm like, well, no, you can't vote for me, but I'm still going to be a state senator that represents Northern Kentucky. I know that we are a region, I know that we are a great Commonwealth, and that we all have to work together here, and we have to make sure that our citizens have what they need.
Okay. All right. Moving on. And actually, we've done a good job talking and hopefully giving the viewers some information because a lot of people from Pendleton County won't know you.
Yeah.
And that was one of the benefits, or one of the big reasons we wanted to come down, is because we want the residents to make an informed decision, and that's something they've heard me say 1,000 times.
And as a candidate, I appreciate this greatly because Pendleton County is so spread out. And it's hard. Pendleton County has been the hardest place for me to meet as many people as I hope to meet. You have Howard's here in Falmouth. You have the smoking pig, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have Wolf Fest. I was down here for the youth fair. But there aren't as many centralized places for us to try and meet as many people as possible. So I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to meet more people from Pendleton this way.
Well, and we enjoy, because we know it's a busy schedule for yours. So to block out an hour and a half time.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. The final question, wanted to kind of give you an opportunity. You're elected, you start January 1st, 2nd, whatever it would be. It's a 2-year term? 4-year term. 4-year term. And man, the representatives, every 2 years campaigning, that's rough. But at least it's only 4 years for you. After 4 years is up and we get into 2023, and that first term for you would be up, as people would look back as your term as senator, what would you hope they see as the highlights and what happened during your term as senator?
Yeah. I would hope that they would see that, number one, so when I'm elected, I'm going to be still in a super minority. So my power to affect a whole lot of change in the first term or two, or the first year or two rather, is going to be quite limited. So I need to use those years to really start to forge relationships and to find those bipartisan issues that we can work on together and start to build from there. What I would hope that people would see at the end of my first term is that I went down there to carry their voice to Frankfort. That I'm not down there for me. That I'm not down there for any kind of corporate interest. I'm a real person who owns a small business in Newport, who cares deeply about the people in this community. My mantra every day is, this isn't about me, this is about us. And when the 4 years are up, I hope that they would be able to look at what I'd done and say, she meant it. It was about us. She might not have been able to get everything done we wanted her to. She, what have you. But she was always there for us, and she always listened. which was always available, and my door will always be open. And that, I think, is the most important thing, that people honestly feel like I am their voice in Frankfurt and that I upheld that. Policy-wise, I want to make sure that we do start to bring more revenue into the state, that we do fund public education. That's my number one issue, is education. So I would also like them to say that I, was a great friend to our children, our teachers, our professors, our state employees while I was there.
Okay. You mentioned about your door always open.
Yeah.
That's the final thing. I wanted to give you an opportunity. Upcoming events, if somebody wanted to talk to you about something, if they wanted to invite you to something, what's the way that they can reach out to you? What are some events coming up that they may want to go to that you'll be at and be able to hear you talk?
Here in Pendleton County, I'm going to be back here tomorrow night. I believe it's at 6 o'clock, starting at 6 o'clock at Howard's Restaurant. There's a Meet the Candidates event, so I encourage everyone that can to come out and meet some of us there. I know Greg Colson will be there. I'm not quite sure who else all is going to be there, but I think it was extended to everyone. So that's the next one here. I plan to be back in Pendleton County for the Trunk and Treat.
Trunk or Treat, yes.
Yep, event, so I'll see some people there. My headquarters is in Newport. It's at 601 Overton in Newport. We are there. If we're not there, it's because we're canvassing. We're out knocking on people's doors. But that is open most business hours, so we encourage people to stop by there. My personal email is rachel@rachelforkentucky.com. Anything sent there will come to me.
Okay.
And I do my very level best to respond to every Facebook message, every Twitter message, and every email. I will admit that in the last week it's gotten a little overwhelming, so I'm slower than I meant to be, than I had been beforehand, but I really do. I'm up and, I'm under the covers at 11 o'clock at night trying to write back everyone that I didn't get to during the day, because that is important to me. And I write everyone back. Mm-hmm. There are people like my opponent who have blocked people on Twitter and Facebook and will take down any negative comment, and I don't do that, because if I'm going to put myself out there, I got to be willing to hear the supporters and the detractors. Yeah. And the detractors are just as important because they're going to keep me humble and they're going to give me a different perspective on everything. And I don't have all the answers, but I'm really good at hearing everyone's input and weeding through it in a way that helps us come to something that works for all of us. So I encourage people to write me with whatever their questions are. I will do my level best to respond to them.
October 18th, measure the candidates. Farm Bureau,
yes.
will you be here
yes,
for that?
Yes, I'll be here for that as well.
And that'll be
at
at Pendleton County High School's auditorium.
Yeah.
I think it's a meet and greet, 6 to 6:30, and then at 6:30 is when they start introducing candidates, I believe. So.
Yeah, and I think that one we just speak for like 2 minutes or something like
that.
But there'll be time afterwards to talk with people. And I'm always happy, if I can make it, I will be there. I joke that just look at my Facebook page. So on social media, we're Rachel, RACHEL, the number 4, KY. Look at my Facebook page, go back. I have been everywhere. I've been to every fish fry, every church festival, every porch, everything I can go to, because first of all, that's what you all deserve. You deserve someone who's doing this full time, and I have been since January. Stepped away from my businesses entirely and have just been in this. So it's unusual for me to not have 4 or 5 events most days, honestly. But that's the way to win this as a first-time candidate, is to meet as many people as you can possibly meet. And I have done that as best I could, but of course I haven't been. There's 125,000 people in the district, so if you can extend an invitation to me, the election's coming up here in pretty short order, but keep extending the invitations. I'll come through November 6th. I'm also happy to support after that in whatever capacity or role I'm in after that.
One of the things I've noticed on your all's Wolfest pages, or not Wolfest, Facebook pages and such, is that you all eat well during campaigns, because every festival, everything, that you're all there eating steak and hamburgers and blooming onions.
So no one tells you when you are going to run for office the hit that your gallbladder is going to take from all of this, but the struggle is real. And it's funny because as a candidate, your day is either completely centered around food, where you have 3 breakfast meetings and 2 lunches scheduled, or there's no food at all. So trying to feed myself has been one of the challenges. But I'm also, I truly believe that 2 of the nicest things people could do for you are to invite you into their home or to provide you a meal. And since I announced in January, almost every day, one of those 2 things has happened, and that is a blessing and a privilege for me.
Well, good. Well, again, we thank you for coming out and spending some time with us, and
thank you for your thoughtful questions.
Oh, no problem. We put up on our Facebook page a pin and have talked to several people about what areas do you want us to know. These are not my questions. These are things, well, obviously the public notice one is our question, but the other questions are coming up from what people have told us they wanted to know about.
Yeah.
And we may have had to take, 8 or 9 different questions that people and merge them into one. I'm not going to ask about drug issues 9 different times, but put them into one. But they were the topics that people want to know about. These are the things that they're talking about on a daily basis, and they wanted to know information about. So
They're the
appreciate
same, aside from the legal notices one, they are the same questions that are coming up for everyone. Education, revenue generation, healthcare, opioid issues. Those are the top 3 things that we hear on every porch we stand on.
Yeah, and I really do believe this Supreme Court decision, it will be historical.
Yeah.
It will really it will aim the direction that this state is going to take one way or the other, and what's going to happen over the next 2 decades in so many areas. Just like I said, back to that Kara case in the late 80s, that really gave focus and direction to education for a couple of decades, and now we've kind of gotten off kilter with education and went through the stages that some of the things that education need to be focused on was not focused on, but hopefully you kind of see some with the career emphasis and the vocational trainings that are coming back to being seen that they're as important as an ACT score, if not more important in a lot of kids' lives. But we lost our focus a little bit for education for a while. Hopefully we're coming back. So Thank you again. Thank you all for listening, and keep checking out our videos.
Thanks.
Let me get up here and turn this off. Oh!